Forster is a seaside town located approximately 308 kilometres north of Sydney. It's an easy 3.5 hours by car, and the location is absolutely wonderful, making it the perfect holiday destination for a great many Sydneysiders. One of the big attractions is whale watching. One of the most popular ways to see whales is by means of a purpose-built boat, the Amaroo, which is located at Memorial Drive, directly behind Forster's main shopping centre. It's just to the right of Fisherman's Wharf, where you'll find the Red Spot Boatshed and Dive Forster, who between them hire boats, sell fishing gear and organise scuba diving. Just look for the big white 24-metre catamaran with Amaroo stamped on the front of it. You won't miss it, with its big deck, enclosed cabin and fore and aft viewing decks. The trip takes about 3 hours to complete, and complimentary morning tea is included. The skippers and crew, as you would expect, are pretty damn knowledgeable about the local area, dolphins, whales and sharks. One of them is always on the PA giving a full commentary about everything.
Now once again a big warm welcome to you aboard the Amaroo. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Julie, I'm your guide today, and our skipper, Captain Matt, is getting us underway there, and you're in good hands.
The river is full of sandbars, and so the boat has to navigate its way out by first travelling up Breckenridge Channel, past all the boat hire joints and the Little Street Baths, which is a netted open water swimming pool. Between Miles Island and Leon Island, you get your first glimpse of the oyster beds. The boat turns after Leon Island, just prior to reaching Graham Barclay Oysters. There are approximately 28 local oyster farmers who control 340 hectares of lake, river and estuary. Of these, Graham Barclay Oysters is apparently the biggest. They currently employ around 35 full-time employees and have been running for over 100 years. Those in the know inform us that Barclays has always been a very well-respected name in the industry. The boat travels along the northern side of Wallace Point Island until it reaches the channel running through the oyster beds. Then it turns and heads down the river towards the sea. Although the river looks wide, it's actually quite shallow and there are numerous sandbars. The boat has to stay on course and travel via the channel marked by the floating buoys. It's at this point the crew insists you put on life jackets and the catamaran powers up to ensure a safe exit of the breakwater. The captain will log the trip with the Marine Rescue Vessels Tracking Service, who monitor recreational boating all along the New South Wales coast to ensure that all craft arrive home safely. Marine rescue people in the tower monitor all craft travelling through the breakwater. The Amaroo is extremely fast and stable, even in quite choppy weather. It is particularly easy to move around the various decks, and regardless of where you are, you're always able to hear the full commentary from the crew, who are quite experienced marine naturalists. If you're not keen on the wind blowing through your hair, the large cabin area has big windows and comfy seats, along with tables to place the complimentary morning tea. Weighing in at an impressive 40,000 kilograms and growing to a length of 16 metres, humpback whales are one of the largest mammals to have ever lived on Earth. They are also the most inquisitive and acrobatic of all the great whales. This day they were exceedingly quiet, but often you'll see them leaping out of the water and smashing their huge tails and pectoral fins against the surface. Regardless, to see these gentle giants up close is still an experience you'll never forget. More than 18,000 whales normally cruise past Forster between June to late November, and the Amaroo people have a deal whereby they offer full refund if no whales are sighted on your cruise. And that's a pretty good deal. When the whales are finished chatting to us, the captain turns the boat, puts the power on and heads for home. Eventually we reach the breakwater and the Marine Rescue Control Tower. Marine Rescue is an independent, not-for-profit organisation, and it's a volunteer marine rescue service that was established in 2009. It's backed by volunteers with decades of experience in other associated rescue organisations. We cruise back along the channel past a number of fishing charter vessels. Forster is certainly not short of services aimed at the avid fisher types. There are certainly more rods and reels per capita in Forster than there are poodles. The Wallace Lake Fishermen's Co-op was started back in 1947 by the local fishermen and is still run by many of the children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren who are all shareholders. They sell as much of their product locally as possible before sending the remainder to the markets in Sydney. So you can be pretty assured the freshest and best quality when you buy the daily catch from the Co-op fish shop. The boat gracefully sails past Hamilton's Oyster Restaurant, a locally owned and family-run business where they actually wander down and hand-pick the oysters from their farm on Wallace Lake, just so you can plonk your backside in a chair and munch your way through a few while you watch the birds and the dolphins. They even provide casual marina berths free of charge, just in case you want to pop in by boat. Wallace Lake and its estuary are about 85 square kilometres in size. Now, to put that in perspective, it's about 1.5 times the size of Sydney Harbour. It produces about 40% of all the New South Wales Sydney rock oysters, and that's more than 16 million oysters every year. For the locals, it results in a cash injection of about $8 million. These same oysters have been collected by Aborigines ever since the beginning of time, but with the influx of population, continuing to pick them would have resulted in the beds being stripped, so modern farming began. They first started using cabbage tree sticks in the early 1900s to give the oyster larvae somewhere to grow. Then modern oyster farmers started using turpentine stakes with treating cement-covered frames to attract the oyster larvae. The larvae grow for about 3 years before being knocked off, then return to the estuary for another year of fattening. All in all, it takes about 4 years to get an oyster fat and juicy enough to slide down the throats of latte-sipping Sydneysiders. The boat glides quietly back into Breckenridge Channel, but just check out how clear the water is. Blue Peter Boatshed is where they hire boats and kayaks. It's a place for the serious fishermen with plenty of bait and tackle. The Colonel's Cafe is a quirky little seafood restaurant and cafe right on the water. It's unpretentious and a bit rustic, but comfortable and very relaxing. Try the tangy salt and pepper squid and the lightly crisp battered fish, as well as the deep fried oysters with ginger plum sauce. Or have just a piece of carrot cake with your coffee. Paradise Marina is another of the boat hire places that also has a cafe and restaurant right on the water. It's just next to where the little street baths are and has a great outlook between the islands. They cater for weddings and parties and are a big favourite with the breakfast brigade. Not too far from the heart of town, the Waterline Boathouse is yet another family-owned and run place that hires boats, kayaks, paddle boards and water bikes. They sell drinks, ice creams, coffee, bait and tackle and fuel. They also run a 2.5-hour lake cruise which goes around the cleanest waterway in New South Wales with a licensed bar and onboard catering. It's child friendly and wheelchair accessible. Forster Houseboat Hire. This is the place to hire a floating townhouse for that romantic getaway with your grandmother, or maybe take the whole family. Whatever you do, it will still be an adventure to float aimlessly with your legs over the side, having your toes tickled by the blue swimmer crabs as you watch the dolphins. You finally end up back at the dock. Nobody seems to want to get off quickly. It's like they've all become family out there talking to the whales. A quick exchange of goodbyes before someone suggests it might be a good idea to go to the Lakes and Ocean pub in time to snare one of their $12 rump steak specials. That's when the pace picks up and gone like the wind, leaving the captain and crew to tidy up. Have to say it was a really good trip.